Wow. Hello, welcome in, guys. I'm gonna quickly do an audio test, so don't mind me. Welcome in, guys. Okay, there we go. How you guys doing? Welcome. We're back at it again with another One Piece stream. So how's your week been? It's Friday. Hope you're ready for the long weekend today, or I guess over the weekend. You got Monday off. If I don't know if the rest of the world celebrates Labor Day, but I know here in the US we do, which is nice. So we get a nice extra day on Monday to do whatever we want. I'm completely down with that. In fact, I think we should have more days of just like, let's not do anything. Let's just chill, relax, kind of relax, de-stress from day-to-day life. But you know, I don't think that's a very controversial opinion. I think that's a pretty safe. I'm pretty sure everybody would love an extra day on the weekends, right? Nobody likes Mondays, not even Garfield. Anyways, welcome to the stream. Today, we're gonna be talking about Gecko Moria. Bit of a strange one, mostly because I've never shown an interest for Gecko, and now we're gonna look at it. I all of a sudden I have an alt art and a whole deck put together of a leader I've never shown interest or talked about liking. It just turns out I actually really like the strategy a lot. I think after playtesting it, I have a very strange version of this deck. So once we actually get to the deck list, it'll make a little more sense of what's going on here. But from my playtesting, I've come to the realization that Gecko Moria is basically a slightly better, it's kind of a better version of Boa, honestly, or a better version of Doflamingo. I'm pretty sure that's like, that actually might be a hot take. I don't think a lot of people are going to be too jazzed about that, because Blue Doflamingo, as we know, is kind of like the prophecy child for the next like set or two to be like the top dog. We'll see. I actually don't know. I actually do think Gecko, or I do think Doflamingo, the mono blue starter deck Doflamingo, is going to be good, especially when its starter deck does come out, the new one. But after playing Gecko Moria, even this scuffed version, this is a scuffed version, as a heads up. This is a very scuffed Gecko Moria list. It still kind of outpaces Doflamingo pretty well, only because it's not playing units rested. I think that's actually pretty big. Obviously, your life, it's hard to explain. I've only been playing the deck for about a week and a half. Well, no, a little longer than that. Actually, since we're on the topic, I'll show you the inspiration of this deck really quick. Where is it? This stuff. So, ever since Noah Nyan 1, YouTube Noah Chan, or this channel, this person right here, ever since they discovered, or they mentioned that this loop exists, the horror loop. This is the Gecko Moria horror loop, which is basically the idea is here is your leader is going to be at 7k the majority of the time, best case scenario, and it's through this effect, or through this combo, which is basically you use your Gecko Moria ability to pull back Hogback, who then is going to pull out the event, and then that event is going to be sacrificing this dude right here, and this dude gives your leader plus 1000 on top of this, giving your leader already 1000 or 2000. And yeah, I mean, well, actually the steps are all right here. So use leader effect, bring back Hogback. Hogback effect allows you to add the event back to your hand. Yeah, use the event to sacrifice Hogback, and or, well, you can't sacrifice Hogback, but you can sacrifice this guy, and then you get 2k from the event, and then this gives you 1k. All right, no, well, you get 2k in total for these two. Using the stage to bring back this guy for the following turn, repeat the same process again. So the idea is that this little loop is going to keep your leader at 7k, sometimes 8k, depends on how many of these guys you have on the field. And I like the strategy of it. I like the idea of it. It reminds me a lot of like maybe like a weaker version of Black Yellow Luffy, without all the restrictions in yellow, and without, like, you know, the technicality of Black Yellow Luffy. So I like the strategy. I've been playtesting it for maybe like what, like 2 weeks. I would say probably a soft 2 weeks. I've been playtesting this deck and putting it together, putting it through the paces, because this list, this loop was shown on Twitter. However, there wasn't a deck list associated with it. It was just basically like, hey, you know, here's a cool thing you can do. And OPO, you know, here's the cool thing you can try out with the new ban list coming out. you know, it should be a little bit better. It should be a lot more sturdy, considering, you know, we're losing Law as a leader and we're also losing the stage. This kind of strategy has a more viable chance in the new meta. So I decided to give it a shot, try it out. I've been practicing on the simulator and it's been okay. I think what I like the most is just the Gecko engine. I really do like the Thriller Bark engine, and having that like little horror loop in there is like a safe, you know, like what is it? A safe fall? Safe. It's a safe thing to do. It's a thing that you can do. Like if everything goes to hell, you can just kind of try to get the horror loop off. So anyways, let's go ahead and just kind of go into the deck. Now, you know, accessories, they're all basically the same. I kind of cycle through all my accessories. Actually, there's actually something new here. So let me get the leader out so people know what we're doing without everything getting blinded. So a cool thing that I actually have is I haven't shown you yet is I have some new dons. These are custom dons, so don't expect to be able to get your hands on these. I was actually after, I mean, of course, if you're not watching the One Piece anime, you probably don't know what this is, but these are screenshots from the episode. From the, what was it? I forget what the episode was, but it's the episode where Garp shows up to fight Aokiji, I believe, Aokiji. And holy cow, that made me really happy that I built a Garp deck a while ago. So I got a custom leader and I got custom Dawn. So these are the custom Dawn for the Garp leader, which is a black-red leader. I have a list. I have a deck profile of Garp on this channel, so you could always go back and watch that. It's still up to date. I haven't really changed anything on it, but I'm just reusing those Dawn because I love those Dawn so much. They look sick. And let's get to the meat and potatoes of this. So we're gonna kind of just be going from lowest cost to highest cost. There's no really any rhyme or reason. Also, if you haven't noticed, I did change the background music for today's special guest. We're currently listening to Halloween music from Nintendo stuff. So if you recognize anything, you know, feel free to shout it out if you actually know what it is. There's a couple of songs on this playlist that I didn't even know we're in some games. So always happy to learn something new. Anywho, so our first one is Suru. So Suru is kind of one of my issues with Black is that there really isn't much of an identity outside of cost reduction and KOing. Like, I think Gecko Moria is the best to step out of, like, you know, Black's comfort zone of being like, oh, purely removal. But unfortunately, if you're building a Black deck in current times, you know, even all the way up to like OPO 8, I'll say, because OPO 9 has Blackbeard in it. Blackbeard is the only new leader that shakes up the meta right now with typing. Gecko was the last one. Blackbeard is the next one to shake up the meta. So until we get Blackbeard and the, you know, Blackbeard crew, we're stuck with Navy stuff. It's strong. It's strong for a reason. There's a reason why a lot of Black decks just play these cards. So I'll talk about the cards now. So Suru is a 1-drop 0k and 2k counter. Has an on-play ability, give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during this turn. So just pure utility. You can throw this down for 1, minus something, KO it later. Or you can save it in hand, counter it. All kinds of good stuff with this card. This is just a staple in Black. So no reason not to run it. Again, it's just a solid card. Until we start getting like other things from until we get other effects in Black, there's no reason to go against cost removal. Cost reduction, cost removal, currently. So our next card is Victoria Sindri. So Victoria Sindri, really cool character. Honestly, she has such a great backstory. Well, very tragic backstory, unfortunately. But she is great. I love that she hates plates. That has something to do with like the shadow that's in her is the reason why she hates plates. It's a very fun arc if you haven't watched Thriller Bark. Very fun one. I would recommend it if you're not really into One Piece. It's a very fun one to watch. I like it a lot. So it's a 1 cost, 2k power, 2k counter. On play, if your leader has Thriller Bark Pirates, trash 5 cards from the top of your deck. So if you're not used to playing Black, trashing 5 cards from the top of your deck sounds horrible. And it is, but thanks to, actually, I haven't even read Gecko Moria's ability. That's a good place to start, isn't it? So anywho, so Gecko Moria. Let's look at the alt real quick. We're not too deep into the video, so we're just gonna check out the card. So this is a super sick alt. And then the sleeve, just a standard one-piece sleeve. So Gecko Moria. It's a mono black, 5 life, 5k power, and it has you attach 1 Dawn. When attacking, you tap 2 Dawn. You may trash 1 card from your hand. That's a lot of restrictions. That's a lot of stuff going on. But trust me, it's good. Okay, you may trash 1 card from your hand. Trash 2 cards from the top of your deck and play 1 Thriller Bark Pirate type character with the cost of 4 less from your trash. So this is basically, it's a more refined version, I think, of the starter deck Doflamingo. There's a lot of steps. There's a whole lot of hoops you gotta jump through. But all those hoops you're jumping through are to the card's benefit. Because all this is doing is basically making sure you guarantee you have something you can play with your leader ability on 3 Dawn. So you're filling up the trash, you're trashing your hand, you're trashing the top of your deck, and in return, you're getting to play a 4 cost or less from the trash to the field. That's a Thriller Bark Pirate. So that's an amazing return. It doesn't come in tapped, it's active. Obviously you can't attack with it because it doesn't give anything rush, but it does put the unit on the field. So if you want to return like a blocker, that's a great ability to return a blocker with. And that's why Sindri is such a good card in this deck, because Sindri is basically your Thriller Bark Searcher. Without being a Thriller Bark Searcher, it is your Thriller Bark Searcher. So it's trashing the top 5 of your cards, and then obviously next turn you're gonna rummage through your trash to bring a 4 cost out. Primarily a different Thriller Bark card, but yeah, even if you don't do that, it's a 2k counter. You do use that as a 2k counter, but the first few turns you play this card, and then later on in the game you try to bring it back to your hand to save as a 2k counter. So it's really good. Awesome card. I'm glad it's not expensive, because Lord knows that could cost a lot of money. So our next one is our Helmeppos. Helmeppo, as I'm sure a lot of us already know, is a great card, great utility card in the Navy and Black Navy. It is a 2-drop for 3k and it has a 1k counter. Great stats. And then its on-play ability is give up to one of your opponent's characters minus 3 costs during this turn. So very similar to Suru. We can grab her. There you go. So just a very similar ability to Suru, just obviously slightly bigger body, less counter, but you're getting a pretty good effect. Again, you're just cost minusing stuff to make KOing a little easier for you. We're only running 3 because, well, we have to make room in the deck. We can't run 4 of everything. It'd be nice if you could. You can get close, but you can't. Not yet, at least. Well, no, you can't, because the deck limit's 50. So there's only so close you can fly to the sun with this list. But anyways, here's one of the combo cards that we're gonna try to use for the horror loop. It is, what is his name? Jigoro of the Wind. Just a common, some no-name common, basically. Also a no-name zombie in Thriller Bark. The only notable thing about this zombie is that he was given the shadow of Zoro, and that's why he's got 3 blades. So that's basically it. Relatively strong zombie, but you know, ultimately nameless. Well, not nameless, but meaningless in the grand scheme of things, of the whole Thriller Bark thing. But anywho, Jigoro is a 2-drop, 3k power, 1k counter. So even though the horror loop is not your primary strategy, it's great to keep this in hand just for the 1k counters that you occasionally get. Because a lot of times your opponent's going to hit low to try to get cards out of your hand. This is a great thing. This is a great thing just to throw at them and give them. And then later on you can bring it back with Stage or with Gecko, I think. Yeah, I think you can bring it back with Gecko. Normally you don't want to bring it back with Gecko, but you can. If you want to get the combo going. But yeah, so the ability, on KO, up to one of your leaders or characters gain 1k power during this turn. So that's the great thing, it's for the turn. So you sack this to your event, to your Shadow Asgard, and then you're getting a 1k buff plus whatever Shadow Asgard just gave you. So super good. I think it's fine. If you're looking for more of a traditional strategy, you probably want to replace this with like brand new. If you want to put brand new just for more searching, more digging in your deck, this would be a good slot if you're not interested in the horror loop. But the next card Great for recursion. Great for the strategy. I love, honestly, Rebecca. There's no reason not to have a Rebecca in your black decks. It's a great blocker. It's great recursion. And it has 1k counter, which is just fine. So Rebecca is a 4-drop, 0k power. So you're not going to do anything with it. You can try to swing with it. It's not going to end well for you, but you can try. It's a 1k counter, which does come in handy a lot of the time. If you don't have your Jagoros, if you don't have Jagoro, you can usually dump this. Ideally, you don't want to be dumping this, which is why Jagoro is so nice to have. But it's a blocker, as we talked about earlier. And then its on-play ability is add up to 1 black card with the cost of 3 to 7 other than Rebecca from your trash to your hand. So you're going from 3 to 7. That's a big range in this deck. Like, there's only like 1 card in this deck, or I guess technically 4 cards in this deck that Rebecca cannot grab from the grave. Actually, no, there's a couple, because it's from 3 to 7. So it can't grab Jagoro. Unfortunately, I can't grab any of the small bodies, but it grabs some good stuff. So still worth to have it in here. I think it's still a great blocker, because you need blockers in Gecko Moria, because your hand is kind of like gas most of the time. So it's very hard to give stuff up. So it's easy to give up a blocker. It's hard to give up hand. But the ability, let's read the rest of the ability. So after you do that, then play up to 1 black character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand rested. So that can play a couple of things. Obviously, like, you can do a Helmeppo, you can do a Suru, you can do a Jagoro. A lot of things you can play with this. So that's why I think it's still worth running at 4 in this list. Even though it can't grab everything from your deck, it can play, you know, pretty significant baby bodies, I would say. So I do enjoy it in the list. I'm surprised like Black Luffy doesn't, or Yellow Black Luffy doesn't play Rebecca more often. And then something a little more traditional that you're used to seeing is the Dr. Hogback. As you would suspect, if you're playing Gecko, you're playing the Thriller Bark package. Most of it is intact in the list. Mostly the thing I decided to dig into is the Navy package for a few more, obviously for a few more Thriller Bark cards. But anyways, Dr. Hogback is a 4-drop, 5k power, 1k counter. On play, you may return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Add up to 1 Thriller Bark type pirate. Return up to 1 Thriller Bark pirate type card other than Dr. Hogback from your trash to your hand. So this is just bringing stuff back. As we saw with the horror loop, this thing can bring back the Shadow Asgard, which is your event. Ideally, what you want to do, like normally with Hogback, you want to grab your 2Ks, you want to grab your Absalons, you want to grab your Thriller Bark stuff. I think actually no, you want to grab your ACOS Gecko. That's one of your primary targets with Dr. Hogback, because there's no cost restriction of what he can grab as long as it's a Thriller Bark card. Does it have to be black? No, so it doesn't even have to be black. If you play this in Perona, you can grab green Thriller Bark cards if they exist. I think, is Ryuma a Thriller Bark character? He might be, I'm not sure. But it's not, you know, it's only type restricted. It's not cost restricted or color restricted. So secret, like, you know, MVP, this is basically the blue starter deck Gecko Moria, but like triple the cheaper, way cheaper, like a fraction of the cost of the starter deck Gecko, of the blue one that pulls cards from the grave to your hand. So that's what this is doing. So again, that's kind of what reminded me of like the Delphi deck, is like Dr. Hogback kind of reminded me of Gecko, or yeah, and then the Gecko leader kind of reminded me of Jinbei. So I'm like, okay, I can make this work. This is a pretty easy deck to understand. Our next card is Absalon. Absalon, I think, is just one of those things that when you're running black cards at the moment, you're gonna run KO cards. Absalon just plays into that strategy really well, and he's also a pretty big body that you can play off of Gecko, that you can grab with Hogback, all kinds of stuff. So Absalon is a 4-drop, 5k power, 1k counter. On play, you may return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. KO up to 1 character with the cost of 2 or less. So pretty good KO potential. Great way to recycle your trash back to your deck. And obviously it's searchable, like searchable in this deck, kind of, with Gecko and Hogback. Unfortunately, I originally had Brook in this spot, and Brook was good. Brook is a great removal card. However, Absalom just kind of works better for the list, and I'm a lot happier with Absalom in the place of Brook. But if I could, I would find space for Brook. I would probably take out Shadow Asgard for Brook if you're looking for a replacement. If you're not interested in the Horror Loop, you can replace your event with the Brooks. Our next card, another Ulabar card that you're probably used to seeing in this list, is Perona. Perona, my god. This is such a good 2k counter, my god. This is just a good card in general. Like, it's hard to believe that, well, no, the alts are really expensive. This particular card is not that expensive, but the alts of Perona, my god, they are expensive. Especially when they're, what is it, participation packs? No, or winner packs? There's an alt version of a winner pack, or like a first place regional or treasure cup, something like that. There's like a $200 version of this card out there. It's insane. But anywho, this is Perona. Perona is a 4-drop 5k power 2k counter. Awesome. Really good stats, like crazy good stats for this deck. So its on-play ability is, if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, choose one of the abilities. So choose one. It has 2 abilities that you can choose one from. So you can either, your opponent trashes 1 card from their hand, pretty good against blue, or against anybody with a big hand. Primarily you use that ability if you're, well, that's the primary ability you use. And then its second ability is give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 costs during this turn. So again, in a pinch, you can overpay for cost reduction. However, the majority of the time, Perona is a hand disruption. So you're trying to pull cards from your opponent's hand, usually against blue or yellow. Red sometimes, but red is not that crazy. Isn't so crazy anymore. We're gonna see in the next set how crazy red gets. But until then, you know, this is just a great card to hit people's hands with. Absolutely love it. And then here's the fucking bane of my existence. Probably the most expensive card in this, even like arguably more expensive than the Gecko was, are the Sabos. My god, these cards, these are expensive. I hate the price of these cards at the moment. I was very lucky to get 2 of them at like a very reduced price, like a crazy, like pre-spike. Like we're talking like 18 bucks, 20 bucks for 2 of these. And then of course the other 2 I had to pay retail price for, which is unfortunate because again, everybody saw that this card wasn't getting reprinted in the treasure packs. So they're just like, okay, screw it. We're gonna pump the market. We're gonna get the price so high up. They're not gonna be able to recover from this. They're gonna rule the day when they made us drop the price to 16 bucks. Anywho, this is Sabo. Arguably probably one of the best black cards in the game. Only rivaled by the 8-drop Gecko Moria, and in my opinion, Rebecca. But this is not a card specifically this card in this deck, I think works amazing. I think in most black decks, this is kind of like a hand trap, I think. I understand that it's cycling 2 cards out of your hand. However, in a game where your hand size is normally about 5, you know, if you're okay at the game, you'll try to keep a hand size of about 5. Usually the 5 you try to keep are really good cards. So usually you'll try to keep your 2k counters and some bombs to throw on the field. And a lot of times you have to give up those bombs or those 2k counters to Sabo if you do something relatively good. So I like Sabo. I'll read the ability real quick. It's also just a big body, which is really nice to have. So Sabo is a 5-drop, 6k power, 1k counter. It's also a blocker, which is why we like playing it. However, what makes this card so expensive, it's its on-play ability. So its on-play ability is, none of your characters can be KO'd by effects until the start of your next turn. Then draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand. So for the price of drawing and trashing 2 cards, your board gains immunity from KO effects. That's pretty strong. Before this, Borsalino was the best blocker, and Borsalino would only protect itself. However, Sabo can now protect your whole board for the turn you play it out. And then the only thing you have to do to pay it is you have to cycle 2 cards out of your hand, which for some people, that's a price worth paying. I've never had a great time playing it outside of Gecko Moria. Gecko Moria, it doesn't care. Gecko doesn't care what you're doing with your cards, because your graveyard is basically your second hand. So this is just a free for all. This is just a free card in Gecko Moria. In other black decks, I would argue you can probably run 2, just because the ability is that strong. I think running 2 is fine. Speaking of which, we actually do have a 2 copy of something. No spoilers, but we do have our Sakazukis. Now, this Sakazuki here was, this Sakazuki was originally a Stussy. Stussy was in this place. However, Stussy didn't work very well with the strategy I had, because Stussy trashes a card on field. It doesn't KO anything. So triggers don't affect. Obviously, the idea was to use Jigoro as sack for Stussy, and then it would trigger. However, Stussy is trashing the card, not KOing a card on your side of the field. Obviously, Stussy is still a great 9-drop in black, because it can KO anything on your opponent's field. However, Sakazuki just kind of works a little bit better at a lower cost and works better with the strategy. So we'll just quickly look at the alt, just because like this alt wasn't that crazy expensive, and you know, it's a good card, so no problem running it. So Sakazuki, let's try to get the focus back in here. Hello, there we go. So Sakazuki, without it getting a ton of glare, is a 6-drop 7k power, no counter. So that's one of my biggest gripes about this card, is that it has 0 counter for not a great ability. Its on play ability is you may trash 1 card from your hand, KO up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. So trashing a card in your hand and not having counter is a good balance. It's a good balance for this card, because it's hitting a 5 cost. So whatever your opponent just played, ideally you're going to hit it. You're going to be able to KO it. And then obviously when you have things like, you know, your Helmeppos, your Surus, all those other things, all those other cards that cost reduce things, Sakazuki will be able to take care of upwards of a 10 cost. So this is a great card in the list. It's unfortunate that it's, you know, no counter, and the trashing doesn't matter, because obviously Gecko doesn't care about trashing stuff. So you trash a card from your hand, Gecko could very likely pull it back out. It's not a big deal. So running it at 2, I don't think I'm going to go past 2. I think 2 is like just the sweet spot, just enough to get me to my 8th dawn turn. Because at your 8th dawn turn, if you didn't know, the only thing black does on 8 dawn is play Gecko Moria and eat hot chips. So our Gecko Moria, you know, our leader and ruler of black, I'm running at a 4. I got a 4th copy, and I do not regret it at all, especially because the card is so cheap now. Like, this card used to be like 20 plus dollars, 30 maybe. I think at one time this version of Gecko was as high as 30, but I normally see this one hovering around 20 until the reprint set was announced, and then this, you know, dive bombed all the way down to like $6. Well, 6 to 10. I don't know exactly where it's leveled out at, but you know, there's a reason why this card is so expensive. There's a reason why it demands a price, and it is just a great card in general to have. So Gecko is a 8-drop 9k power, no counter, not a big deal, and its on play ability is choose up to 1 character with a cost of 4 or less, and up to 1 character with a cost of 2 or less from your trash. Play 1 card and then play the other rested. So obviously, gosh, if you're not aware of Gecko, you probably don't play the game. But to give you an example of like your most ideal turn, is you play out your Gecko, and then obviously you're going to play out maybe your Absalon, and then with your Absalon you're going to play out a Helmeppo rested, and then you can choose the triggers. The nice thing is that you choose the triggers, how they trigger off. So obviously you would play your Gecko, pulling these two out of the grave. Your Helmepo would trigger first, so giving something a -3 cost. And then your Absalon will trigger, KOing something that's a 2 cost or less. So these two can hit a 5 cost. A 5 cost just right off the bat, which obviously the turn before you just hit a 5 cost, or you hit something bigger the turn before. And then obviously, you know, depending on your Dawn, you can play a Suru, try to hit something earlier, you know. Before you play your combo, you play Suru, then you play your Gecko, then you play this effect, and then you're hitting what? A 3, 4, 5, 7. You're hitting a 7 cost. So there's the strategy. And then obviously this is not the only strategy. There are better things you could be doing with the cards you pull out. Obviously you can pull out like a Perona. You can pull out a Hogback and then get something back to your hand. You can play out a Rebecca, which then Rebecca plays something, which is a great combo. And then of course with your 3 or less, you can play a Jigoro. You don't want to usually play Jigoro, but it's an option. Helmepo we talked about. Sindri you can play for just to fill out your trash if your trash is getting pretty low. Suru, you can play Suru, but you know, either Suru or Helmepo. This is primarily why I think this Gecko deck is a lot stronger than Doflamingo. No Hinas in this list. The reason why is because I have Ice Age, and the only reason why I have Ice Age is because it's just a cost. It's a little bit lower. But I have thought about Hina. I was thinking about either playing Ice Age or Hina. No brand news, no, because I was talking about this earlier. Let me show you. There it is. So if you didn't know, I'm trying to run this version of Gecko. This is the horror loop that was introduced by Noah. Noah is theorizing that, you know, with the new bands coming out, this loop could potentially have legs. However, with my playtesting, I don't think there's a lot here. It's a very fun local thing to do, but I don't think it has any legs in tournaments right now. But this kind of gave me inspiration to build a Gecko deck and try it out. Because while this was introduced, there was no deck list added to this. So I made a deck list that I think works pretty well. And that's why you don't see things like Brooks. You don't see like Brand News. You don't see Hinas. Oh, of course, you know, if you want to add in those cards, obviously you would just pull these out. You would just pull out your stage, you'd pull out your Jugoros, and then your Asgards. So that's the idea. From my testing, like, it is a very janky version of Black Yellow Luffy. And I like Gecko a lot more than I like Dofi. So I think this has more legs than Dofi does currently. And that's why I'm running the things that I'm currently running. But yeah, no, I do have those cards. It's just I'm choosing to play the horror loop and give it a shot. But the last things, as I just mentioned, we have 4 Ice Ages. And for anyone who doesn't know what an Ice Age is, it is a 1-drop event. It's a main. Give up to one of your opponents -5 cost during this turn, and then it has a trigger of, see, the generic build will be more consistent. I agree. I 1000% agree. Honestly, again, at the start of the stream, I was like, you know what? This is going to be a very janky version. But yeah, the generic build is a lot stronger, for sure. But it's fun. It's a very fun way to like build a deck. That's primarily what it's about. But yeah, the Ice Age is, the trigger is KO up to one of your opponents 3 costs or less, and then of course -5. So probably the best thing you can do is, you know, you play your Sakazuki with your Ice Age, you take out whatever boss monsters out there, and then our last 2 cards are the Thriller Bark and the Shadow Asgard. And with the Shadow Asgard, this has been basically the whole linchpin of the whole deck. Like, without this card, this deck basically wouldn't exist. So it's probably one that not a lot of people have even used, let alone know what it does. So Shadow Asgard is a 2-drop event. It is a main/counter, and it has, so your leader gains 1k power during this turn. Then you may KO any number of your Thriller Bark Pirates type characters with a cost of 2 or less Your leader gains an additional 1k power during this turn for every character KO'd. And then its trigger is draw 2 cards, trash 1 card from your hand. So the trigger is fine. It's primarily the event that you're trying to do. You're primarily trying to, you know, obviously what you want to do is, as we saw with the loop, is your Jigoro. You're going to try to get at least 1 or 2 Jigoros out. And then, you know, keep the loop going with your Dr. Hogback to try to bring it back out. And then keep your leader consistently at 7k on the field. And that's primarily what's going on here. And then, of course, Thriller Bark. Thriller Bark is our stage. We're only running 2 because we're not really relying that heavily on the engine, just because the generic engine is just better. But since we are running 2, this is basically a 1-drop stage. So activate main, pay 1. You may rest this stage. If your leader is Thriller Bark Pirates type, play up to 1 Thriller Bark type character with the cost of 2 or less. So this is what's bringing back your Jigoros. And then your Dr. Hogback is bringing back your Shadow Asgard to help keep your leader at 7k for ideally the majority of the game. Whenever you can establish the combo, ideally you want to keep it going. However, from my experience, it's pretty tough to get that engine going and to keep it consistent. So we do run a lot of the generic Navy engine in here to keep the deck semi-consistent and, you know, removal centric to some extent. But yeah, that's primarily the deck. And then actually, since you just dropped in, I wanted to show you the Dons I got. Check these out. They are the Garp. I don't know if you watched the anime, but the Garp Dons. These are just ones I made. These are shots from the anime episode. This was one of the impact frames. And holy cow, does this look sick in hollow. So super happy that I was able to pull those out. Or happy I was able to make those. But yeah, anyways, there's the deck. We are gonna try, we're gonna try, you know, air quotes, try, and play some games on the simulator. We're gonna see how it kind of competes with what's currently out there, you know, running wild. I have a couple of games under my belt with this deck. But I will say that the horror loop is a, you know, backup plan more so than the main strategy. So we're going to primarily play it like how you would normally play Gecko. However, if we can pull the combo off, we will try to. Let's see, what else can we do? Yeah, I think we'll try to play like 2, maybe 3 games if we can get 3 games in, depending on how long the games go. We might try to get 3 games in just to kind of get our feet wet with the strategy and see what happens. But yeah, so we will switch over and try to get a game or 2 and see what happens. So gotta put a lot of stuff away. Well, and then there we go. All right, so goodbye. We're gonna quickly switch over to the sim. Bum bum bum. Woo. There we go. I don't know why the sim always gets like extended whenever we go back and forth from it. Anywho, let's see. So, well, no, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, so let's see. Let me check the deck real quick. What's been really nice about the simulator is Batu has a auto updater now, so now we don't have to worry about downloading updates. He just pushes updates out now through the sim. This looks correct, so we'll go back to the lobby, and then let's do this west. We're on Gecko. We're gonna do a quick join and see who's chilling quickly before we. Well, that's not what I wanted to do. Where's my little guy? There he is. We'll just hang out here for a minute, and then well, there we go. Just in case if there's any suspicious activity, we will know about it. Which means you won't be able to see my hand, unfortunately. However, you're just gonna have to make the assumption that well, no, you can normally see my hands because the cards get pretty big. They're pretty big on this side of the screen once I hover over them. Are we gonna get into a game? That's another good question. That is the real mystery. Let's try again. There might not be a ton of people playing right now. That's also a thing. There we go. Come on. Getting dry throat. But yeah, fun story, I guess, is I had to pick up that Gecko last minute. Actually, I literally got the alt art Gecko. I was running the generic Gecko for about 2 weeks, and then obviously I was playtesting with the simulator for about a week. Then I was playing generic Gecko, you know, paper Gecko for about a week, and then today I just picked up the alt art Gecko because I know there's been like a bunch of them floating around, so I'm like, okay, you know, I'm gonna give it a shot, see how it is. And then obviously with the horror loop introduced, I was like, all right, I want to give this a try. I want to see like if this has any legs. And from my testing, there is potential. There's potential with the horror loop. However, it's a bit of a janky combo, and it's not one that should be relied on, but it's one that's very fun to pull off. It's one that a lot of opponents just don't see coming. It's a lot of people don't expect it. People don't even know what the Shadow Asgard does. They don't realize, oh, we got something. Nice. Okay. So we're playing, oh man, this is a really good Warlord package. We don't have what we need, so we need a mulligan. That's a lot better. So we're gonna Sindri, check our trash. Oh, nice. Okay. So pretty good trash. And then we're gonna end our turn. So, at 3, can we play? We can play our Absalon. There is nothing to hit with our Absalon, but we could just play a body. So he hasn't set up anything. So we're gonna probably, actually we could trash our Dr. Hog back. And then what do we, yeah, we can put Dr. Hog back, use card action. Let us put this and this back into our deck, and then we're gonna grab our Gecko. That's actually awesome. All right. Perfect. That was actually a great turn 2. With my playtesting, I've been struggling a lot with Bonnie. So green is a pretty tough deck to fight against. All right, that's fine. But yeah, my Gecko deck hasn't really been able to. What do I want to counter with this with? I can give him a Mepo. But yeah, this deck, this version of Gecko has not been very good against green. So I've been a little bit nervous going against different green decks because they're very good at just like basically just saying fuck you, I'm gonna rest everything and freeze everything and just not let you do stuff. So that's been the only semi-hard matchup I've been up against. Are we Gucci? Are we ready to move on with our lives? All right, there we go. So 5 Dawn. He has 6 cards in hand. We can eat up one of his cards. Or we can go a little bit bigger. We could... We can get rid of his Jinbei if we really want to. Yeah, I think getting rid of his Jinbei. So that would be what? That's 1, 3. I think that'll be fine. I think we can. Let's see. So we're gonna play that, reduce that. We're gonna attack. And then we're gonna trash Jigoro, bring back an Absalon, use card effect. He is return 2 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck. So we're gonna throw this back to the bottom, and then that. Okay. A lot of little steps. What are you gonna do, buddy? You got 6K coming after you. You'll take the life. All right. Good luck. Got 6 Dawn, 7 cards in hand. We could probably throw a Perona if we don't already have a Perona in trash. So still looking for stuff. Do I want to give up Hogback? I don't think I do. So I'm going to trash this for counter. He's probably going to go for Hogback. I think I'll let Hogback go. No, I don't think I'm going to let go of Hogback. It's unfortunate that we're going to lose Perona, but... Oh, oh yeah, that's right. Zoro's very good at restanding stuff. Oh, alright, well, there goes Hogback. That's fine, because we can bring back Hogback. So it's not, you know, no skin off our nose. But we are at 7. We're so close to our 8th Dawn turn. We'll be able to bring back a couple of things. We can go for a value Gecko and just grab Hogback and maybe our Jigoro. Okay. So we're probably going to want... I don't have any way to cost reduce them, so I think what we're going to do is swing... How many cards? He's got 8 cards in hand. What do I want to bring back? I want to bring back our Perona. So we're probably going to swing, what, like 3? Use card action. I'm going to trash this. I'm going to grab Perona and make you trash a card. All right. Oh, wow. And then... Do I want him to have a... Yeah, let's just get rid of his body. If he wants to save it, he's gonna have to commit a lot. Okay, and then we'll end the turn. I just want to keep his board under control because he's down to 1 life. We're in a pretty good position right now, especially since we're going to be throwing down our Gecko next turn. It's looking probably... What is he going to be looking for? He's probably going to be looking for Boa, if I had to guess. No, he could be looking for his 10-drop, actually. Dofi. 10-drop Dofi is available to Zoro Sanji. Okay. That's fine. That's fine. Then let's see. We can probably do a removal Gecko. So for a removal Gecko, we can grab... We have our Helmeppo. That's going to reduce it to 3. So that'll be a 1. That'll be very easy to pop. It's probably going to swing in. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, we'll resolve the attack. Let's see. Okay. So we're definitely gonna Gecko. Let's try to get... I don't want to use the card action. I just want to hit him. See if he takes the card. He has a lot, so I don't think he has to worry about countering. I just want to eat up cards in his hand. Okay. Now we can get our Gecko. We'll probably get rid of his Jinbei. And then we're gonna grab our... We're gonna replace Tsuru. Then we're gonna do our Gecko first. And then we're gonna KO this. Oh, we have to use our card action. So return 2 to the bottom of the deck. We're probably just gonna grab that. Stage to the bottom. And then we're just gonna KO that. And then we'll end the turn. So we're at 4 life. Well, 5 life actually. So we can take 3, 4, 5. He can get us down to 0. It is possible. But I don't think he'll be able to win this. If he goes for the board, then we're good. We're Gucci. He's getting this up to 7k so he can restand it. Yeah, I'm just going to resolve that. Okay. Yep. So that's going to be 1. No, only 1 tack, so we're going to resolve that. Nice. We do have Shadow Asgard. We're not going to be using this. Well, we know we could use this. But I think we are basically... Actually, he has 7. Let's see. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We can attach 4 Dawn. Actually, probably going to only attach... Actually, no. We're going to probably Gecko. We're going to Gecko. We're going to try to do another value play with... we do have an Absalon. We have our Suru. Yeah, so we're gonna Gecko play this. So we should we Shadow Asgard our Sindri? We could probably Shadow Asgard our Sindri and still play out our Gecko. So we're gonna KO that. Choose no targets. See if he'll dump it. And then we could try to go for game. It's really tempting to go for game, but no. We're gonna go for our this, and we have a Suru. So we're gonna do Suru first. We're gonna cost reduce that, then we're gonna use card action. We're gonna start returning our 2Ks to our deck, and then we're gonna KO that. And then we can attack this. See if he'll save this. I don't think so. Oh no, he did. Okay. Yep. And then we'll end the turn. See if he can do enough damage to us. So even with what he has on board, that'll drop us down to 0 again. However, we'll see how he plays it out. He's got a bigger grave than I do. That makes me feel self-conscious. What can he do at 10 Dawn? He could probably... Oh, you know what? He can definitely 10 drop Dofi. If he 10 drop Dofi, he'd be wrestling these 3 in some order. So no, that's fine. This can only do a 7 cost, so there's no way he could have got that. Yeah, we'll let that resolve. And then he'll have these as attackers. You can attach 2 here, still do the restand. Yeah. I can go... Because he has 5 cards in hand. Do I trust? No, we'll resolve. I need cards in hand. So what's he going to restand? Okay, he did restand. We're going to resolve that. Just trying to refill our hand a little. We don't have a 2K, but we can start dumping some cards in our hand. Okay. So, let's see if he can get out of this. So 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do that, see if he can get out of that. There you go. Okay. Oh, he already disconnected. Okay, that wasn't too bad. That played out about as good as I could expect. As long as we were trying to control the board, I think we were fine. We're gonna do one more quick join. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I can change the music now. Now this music too scary. Let's start from the beginning. From the top, because the last few songs got scary. Very fitting for the deck. You know, we're getting to the spooky, scary season. So we'll have to start looking for a playlist. Hopefully this playlist doesn't get me copyright striked. Hopefully it doesn't get the VOD muted. I'll be really upset. I'll have to do the whole stream again on a later date if the VOD ends up getting muted because of this playlist. But as a pioneer, I have to check and see what playlists are fine to play, you know, as a solo, I should say. Solo streamer, you know, one-man army. I have to see what is what's allowable on Twitch, what Twitch is cool with, as far as like BGMs are concerned. Usually, these types of songs, like these BGMs, OESTs, tend to be fine. They don't tend to cause any issue from what I've noticed. I've only had like one issue with like, you know, a supposedly copyright-free music, but that bit me in the ass once already, so I'm not even gonna try to do it again. So I'm going with what I kind of know works, and then we'll see if it continues to work. Come on, I want to play. Please. I want to get one more match in. If I can get one more match in, I'll be happy. Let's try to join again. There just might not be a lot of people playing because it's relatively late. East Coast definitely stopped playing already. We're in kind of a weird gray area of time. Do 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 do. Oh, we got something. Oh no! Oh no! We got Uda. No! Oh, what does Uda want to do? Ah, dang it! They wants to play. What is it? 7-drop Luffy. I'm gonna go second. It's a keepable hand. We can make this work. Oh, that's so rough. God, I really don't like fighting this deck. Uda is such an oppressive green deck. Just as bad as I think Bonnie. I think this deck is just as harsh as Bonnie. They can really put the pain on. Really crank it up to 7 with its I Am Invincibles. It's flooding the board with the film deck. It's brutal, man. This deck is brutal. Not bad. Some good stuff. Do we have anything else we can play? No. There you go. All right, Pirate 93082 55. We do want to try to keep a semi-healthy life. We do want to pop this. Okay. So we have a ton of hog bats in the grave. We won't be able to pop. No, we'll be. Oh, dang it. What do we have? If there was a way to pull this back out, that'd be great. One thing about this deck that I am always worried about is its aggression. So we're gonna trash Corona. We might end up bringing out Corona. Trash one card. Alright. I'm very nervous about this deck. All this deck does is play I Am Invincibles. Oh, and it's gonna search too. Good. I'm glad you at least you hit me. Yeah, here we go again. Oh, that's so painful. We'll resolve the attack. Hold on, do I want to do this? Draw 2 cards, then trash a card from hand. No, I don't want to. Yeah, we'll use the trigger. So we'll draw 2. We'll trash this. So we're at 6. We definitely want to get rid of one of his searchers. So we're starting to get a decent thing in here. This does rest 2, so I can attach 2 here. Okay. So we're gonna trash our Absalon. We're gonna grab, I think we're gonna grab our Hob back. Use card action. We're gonna throw these back into our deck. And then we're gonna put, we put stage back. I think we grabbed the, no, okay. Now let's see. Because we definitely need to control the board. Okay. That's unfortunate. I really needed that to leave. All right. Go ahead. If he has, if Uda plays out 8-drop kid, that's gonna be rough. I will. We'll let that resolve. Nice. Do I have a blocker? I don't have a blocker. Oh, there's Blacklight. Where's I Am Invincible? We're gonna trash our Absalon. Let me just look at your trash for a second. I'll let that resolve. Oh my god, my Sindris, they're all here! My friends! Oh, Gecko! Great to see you. Now we can start popping stuff. So with our first one, we can definitely pop. Definitely need to start popping these searchers. That is a given. That is like a mandatory thing. We gotta start popping. We can start popping off. So we're gonna first grab our Absalon, then we're gonna grab our Helmeppo. We're gonna use our Helmeppo. Use card action. We're gonna put. What are we gonna put into the? Let's see. What do we? Hold on. We return 2 cards from your trash on your deck. KO. Okay. And then we're gonna do. Okay. And then. See if he'll start giving up bodies. Okay. Oh, that'll be it. So I got a Gecko on field now, so that feels good. Even if they have a 8-drop kid, it'll be easy to hit over it. So there's the Luffy. We were expecting Luffy. This guy will be definitely a problem. No restanding. Only these 2. These 3 can play. We'll resolve. Would you expect that I had another one? Another Sindri. Bet you didn't see that. Would you suspect I had a third one? Dun dun dun. Surely you were not expecting that. Alright, so we're gonna probably trash these 2. We're gonna need to trash a couple of cards. So we're gonna probably want to swing first with our guys. So 8, 9, 10. I think see if he throws the blocker. He might throw his blocker at it. No. Dang it, you're too smart. Let it go. You gotta let her go. Ah, you fool. Let's see if you can save this one. You should be able to. You got 5 cards. Come on. Yeah, that a boy. All right. And then we're going to deploy our Gecko. And then we're going to grab our Hogback. We're going to replace Sindri. And then we're going to grab our Helmeppo, which then, unfortunately, we're going to get rid of our Hogback. And then that. Use card action. Select 2 cards to return to the bottom of the deck. My boys, you are coming home. And then we're KOing that. And then let's see if we can get a cheeky little life in there. A little cheeky card out of life. All right. There you go. So yes, you could definitely go for game if you really wanted to. Most definitely go for game. I think this is the ride or die situation. And I think I put them in a situation where they have to go all in. Unfortunately, I won't be able to counter out of it. New Genesis, that's fine. Would have been nice to play the body. So I think we will trash because the attacks are only going to get higher. And then we'll take that. Yeah, he's going to go for game. No, yeah, he's going to load up his leader. No, this is game for sure. Yeah, this is definitely game. Okay, yeah, you can have the game. Yeah, there's no way. It's okay. You can attach all your Dawn. There's no way I'm getting out of this. Yeah. There you go. You got it. That was good, though. All right. Well, there's our loss. Uda can be very difficult to go up against. But that's the name of the game. It was actually a pretty good match. I did like that. I'm glad we didn't see the 10-drop kid. So that's you know, a small blessing in its own. There we go. Kind of go back to a normal size. But that is it for today. We will be wrapping it up. Thank you so much for enjoying the few games, the deck. As you can tell, not a lot of great opportunities to play the actual strategy, but obviously Gecko still works as a deck. It's still very good at flooding the board. Still very good at removing things occasionally. Chances are, whenever I do get tired of the horror loop, I am probably just gonna switch over to a full Gecko list where we play more navy cards, more removal cards. Obviously, I'm gonna be adding in the Brooks if I ever decide to pull out the horror loop, but I like the novelty of it. The deck still functions perfectly fine with it in there. And yeah, all right, well, that was, you know, that's the games, that's the deck. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and love you and leave you here. Thank you for hanging out and watching live or watching the VOD. Always appreciate your time here. And until next time, goodbye. Goodbye, 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 goodbye. Next week, I think we're going to play... Probably going to play some Thronefall. So you can look forward to that next Wednesday if you're interested in Thronefall. So, all right. See you guys. Bye. Bye.